have big old beefy man pores. Like, I'm talking crater size man pores on my face. Hello beautiful people, welcome back to my channel. I'm Paige, this is Seeking Alexandria, and y'all, today we are here to talk about the Blendiful, just created by TATCHA Beauty. My little package got here and I am so pumped for this. I absolutely love, if you don't know me, I love makeup application. I'm always experimenting with different sponges and types of this and like fibers and textures, and it's just something that has always been super intriguing to me. But before we get into this, I just want to mention, like, you'll probably be able to hear it every once in a while in the background. I'll do my best to edit it out, but for those of you that don't know, all right, I live in this little place that's called Northern Michigan. I refer to her comfortably as the Northern MI. And this little place, okay, when you picture it, you're like, oh wow, it's nice, it's serene, countryside, like birds and like snowflakes falling from the air. Wrong, okay? All it is tractors and freaking plow trucks that just it's all you hear all morning. And I don't know in what world I thought this was a good decision. I was like, I'll wake up, I can beat the tractors. You will never beat the tractor people. You know how I know? Because they don't sleep. They get up at like 3 a.m. to like till the fields or do something with the horses or the cows, feed them and do this and like, you know, slop the pigs. And it's like, oh my God. And I used to be someone, like I had a farm. Like I know the drill. I never had that intense of a farm, but like we had, you know, the cows, the chickens, the pigs, the lambs, the horses, all that. And it is just, oh my God. I'm just like, guys, I really thought I could beat them, but I was wrong. So anyways, moral of the story, if you hear them in the background, I apologize. But we're going to be diving in today to the Blendiful, as I mentioned, and I'm really pumped about this. I did pick up, and before I open this package, that's why I'm stalling, just a little bit. I did pick up a couple of these. And by a couple, I mean 3, because well, number one, I'm an overachiever. I'm a Libra. It's just what we do. But in all seriousness, I did grab 3. And I know it might seem a little excessive, but when I do a video like this and I'm really looking at the texture of the cloth or the applicator or whatever, in this case, it's kind of like a cloth type thing. I like to have an option because this can be used for cream or for powder. And Tati did mention in her video that you can use like one, she can use one and do the whole face, which well, first of all, here's the situation, okay? My face is like double the size of hers, and I don't know if that has anything to do with it or not, but like, girl, this is a canvas, okay? This is a big old canvas. You got like a nice little 8x8 canvas, honey. I'm working with a mural. I'm working with a billboard size canvas. So I just wasn't sure as far as that goes, but also I wanted to make it so I had like a clean control variable for each option, just to make sure there was no like contamination as far as like, oh, the powder mixed with this and then it got weird on my skin. I want to make sure that every step has like a clean fighting chance to do really well. And I know it's not something everyone would care about. It's more of just like a page thing, but like, it's okay, whatever, don't judge me. So here's the cute little package. I really appreciate the minimal amount of waste that goes into this. Let's go ahead and just give it a little tear. Ooh, that is so satisfying. Okay. Boop. Again, not in the trash. The trash is right next to me. Why not just throw it on the ground? And opening it up, I'm not going to get too crazy about this part of the review because everybody's kind of talked about this, even Tati herself. So we have the small little guy right here. We have the bigger one. This one does have a really nice, like flimsy, movable texture to it. It feels like quite literally nothing, very mobile. Even the ribbon on the back, like the holder, doesn't seem to give it any like excess or unnecessary rigidity, which I really appreciate. And then obviously we have the little heart-shaped one right here. This one does have more rigidity to it, like she mentioned. This is more of like the touch-up option. You know, you're going, you want to like beat out them little beefy smile lines that, honey, I have for days. Let me just tell you, these little lines right here always go quickly. Also, my big old Hulk wrinkle, if you see it right in the middle, boop, 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 right there, girl, you ever want to wonder if I had Botox, check the Hulk, because she will tell you all my secrets and my age. 30. I'm 30. So pretty much out of the two, I would think the main focus is this one. And then I also wanted to bring you guys up close so you can see the texture. This is kind of what we're working with here. It has a really nice, soft and smooth consistency. It reminds me a lot of the makeup eraser. All right, guys, so I went ahead and I clipped my hair back. I moved you in, and I was giving this a lot of thought to how I wanted to structure this video. And what I realized is that there was no point in me talking about applying makeup and then doing it if I could just talk and do it at the same time. I know, a crazy idea. So I'm gonna go ahead and get started with primer, and for that I'm going to take my TATCHA Silk Canvas, which you can tell I use all the time, and I'm going to go in. I just folded this up. I'm going to grab just a little bit here and put it on. Ooh, I like that. I like the way it looks. It looks like it's gonna fill in my pores. So I have just a little bit here, and I am going to just kind of distribute it like I normally would onto those areas of my face. I like to keep this where I am the most porous. Wow, that does look really nice on my skin. Like, it feels really, really nice. There's no product at all like left on this. It's slightly matted down, but it's all in my skin. and it looks really nice. The finish of it is beautiful, and my pores actually do look good. Okay, while I talk for the rest of it, I'm just gonna apply my foundation. This is the ABH Luminous foundation, and I'm using it in the shade 150W. I'll get into why I chose this here in a second, but I wanted to mention to you guys prior to going in with foundation, one of the reasons that this video was important to me to do, it's no shade to people that have like beautiful skin and they don't have large pores and like they have just naturally a wonderful, you know, canvas to work with. It's nothing against those people, but I don't know if y'all have noticed, this is what I'm working with. Like I have a ton of situations going on. I have a lot of like old cystic acne. I have current acne. So I have scarring and I have redness. I have all of that. And I have big old beefy man pores. Like I'm talking crater size man pores on my face. And it's really important to me to be able to showcase for that for you guys, because sometimes on the internet, and I know this before I started my channel, it can be really difficult and disheartening to see stuff always reviewed and talked about and raved about on perfect skin or really beautiful, like naturally beautiful skin, or just skin that's like so much conventionally nicer than my own. And then I would try the product and be kind of bummed out that it didn't do that for me. So I wanted to do this. I really wanted to bring the camera in and just show you guys this is really what it does. Not like let me zoom in the camera from across the studio and you know I'm a little closer but not really and you still can't see it. Like I want you guys to be able to see what's going on. So we're close right now. We may get a little closer as I apply. I'm not sure, but just so you guys know, this part of it is really important to me. Also, I love that I said I'm going to talk and apply, and I have not applied any foundation. Well done, Paige, well done. Going into why I chose this foundation, because I think it is important to kind of talk about what we choose and why, because the products you choose really can skewer your opinion one way or the other. I chose this foundation for a couple of reasons. Number one, on my skin with my redness, my acne, that kind of thing, this is a very true like medium coverage foundation. So you can still see my redness over here. You can still see redness over here. And I went in with about half as much foundation as I normally would. So that's a good thing. The first reason that I chose this foundation is, look at that, there's actually almost none left on there. That's awesome. Like it's lightly stained, but there's no product. So the reason that I chose this, first of all, is to see what does it do to coverage? Do I lose any? Does it shear it out? Does it build it up? Where does it go? If it's not going on my skin, does it go into here? Like where is my coverage going to go if it changes? Number one. And I feel like that's something you can't test if you go in with a full coverage foundation as easily as you can a true medium, you know, because if I have more coverage, obviously it gave me more. If I have less, it gave me less, that sort of thing. And the second reason I chose the ABH foundation is because it does have a really nice natural like light luminescence on my skin. And you can kind of see right now it gives me just a little bit, not too much, but I wanted to see if the Blendiful had a finish on it that would take that away, if I would lose it, if it would mattify it, dull the glow, enhance the glow, that sort of thing. Because I have tried other products or like different types of sponges in the past. The main one being, what was it? The Juno & Co sponge. I actually have one over here somewhere. But the Juno & Co sponge did that for me. When I used it, it gives a beautiful, beautiful coverage. It is on the more full coverage side, like it gives you just that much more use out of your products. On my skin, it does mattify a little bit, and I've always had a little bit of like a issue with that because I go in with this really nice foundation that I love the coverage and I love everything about it, and then it kind of dulls that glow just a little bit. So for me, that was something I wanted to look at this one for as well, just to like make sure that doesn't happen. All right, so with foundation on and applied, I actually think it looks basically the same as it always does. Let me move in even closer so you guys can see, because if I can get the beauty lights to shine and hit it just right, you can still see I have like acne right here, I have redness, I have a little bit over here, but I'm still getting the same amount of coverage that I would from it. It has a nice amount of like lilt and shine to it, so that didn't go anywhere, which is good. And now I'm gonna go ahead and go in with my Tarte Shape Tape here in the shade Fair Neutral. One thing I did notice, I'm just kind of blending out my chin right here, on the website it said that you can use less product and it'll go farther, because on like a traditional sponge or anything like that, you have more absorption than you will with something like this, which is true. Like my chin highlight, girl, that just went for days. That looks so good. It pressed it all in and it diffused it really nicely, but like I was able to spread that pretty far, which is nice. Okay, so while the slowest tractor in recorded history just drove by, I blended out this side. I'm gonna go ahead and move on to here. And I like the way that this is blending out so far, mainly because I like the diffused edge that I have. Like there's no seam and it doesn't like get weird, it doesn't get gummy, because this product itself is such a continuous product. And what I mean by that is sometimes with a sponge, and I don't know if it's just me, because sponges do have an edge to them, or like an area where eventually the product will drop off. I feel like sometimes right on my like higher cheekbone area, I can end up with a light little like ledge of concealer that I have to blend out. And what I'm noticing is that with this right here, I keep wanting to just call it a sponge, but with the Blendiful, what I'm noticing is that it doesn't give me that because this product just keeps going. So as I'm working with it, you can kind of see it's like able to hug the whole top cheek, so it naturally blends out that line, which is really nice. So next up now, I'm just gonna grab a little bit of my translucent setting powder from Hourglass, and I'm going to take a teeny tiny little corner of this and pack out my little under eye bags one more time, and then lightly set just my under eyes while I go on and do the cream stuff for the rest of my face. I don't know if you guys can see that or not. I keep trying to make sure I'm like near the mic, but that looks so nice on my under eye. And if you're new here, just so you know, my under eyes, they carry like more baggage and issue than like a commercial flight. So it's really impressive to see a tool, especially one I've never used before, be able to just like go in and press in and set everything down. Cause y'all, there's a lot going on there. Now I am gonna go ahead after the eyes are done and I'm gonna move on to some cream products. And the first one I'm gonna take is from Charlotte Tilbury. This is their Hollywood Contour Wand. And I'm going to just I'm gonna do this like I normally would and apply it to my face while the loudest tractor ever goes by again. Yes. And I'm not putting any on my nose at the moment. I'll probably just take what's left over and do that like she mentioned in her video. But I'm gonna take just an edge here. I'm gonna fold it down like a little taco, and I'm going to start to pack and press this in. And I'm more so going to push in the upward direction because I tend to have the issue of pulling my shaping stuff down, which isn't flattering at all. So I'm very busy. So I'm just gonna take and really press this in. Now, one other thing that I wanted, actually, you know what? I think I can sweep this, can't I? Ooh, yes. Oh, that's so much faster. Okay. I wasn't sure. I was really nervous about the whole sweeping thing. Kind of segues me into the next thing I wanted to talk to you guys about, which is texture, like on the face, just topically, and how going in with products like this, when someone just tells you like, oh, sweep it on your skin, it's not that easy, because if you're like me, and you've had like, whether it's cystic acne or just redness, anything like that, that causes like topical bumps or anything but like a nice smooth surface right through here, going in and just, you know, aimlessly kind of sweeping something on your skin can cause a lot of issues to what you're doing to the canvas, to the smoothness of it. And that's something that I myself have had a huge issue with. So when I heard Tati talking about, and just to do the nose, I'm just taking a little extra here. Do I have extra? I feel like this product kind of, there isn't anything really left in it. But I'm just lightly taking that little area and kind of tapping it. Oh, okay, I have a little extra. Oh, that actually looks really good too. It's nice and soft and subtle. Oh, okay. Anyways, as I heard Tati talking about that, like, oh, you can just kind of sweep it here, sweep this, do that, I was like, girl, I don't think I'm gonna have that option. Because as someone with texture, if I sweep over my skin, I remove everything. It doesn't matter. It'll be foundation, it can be primer, it can be concealer. I just lose everything the minute that I start sweeping anywhere, because my texture isn't a nice smooth surface. It creates all that like surface tension. So my products don't sit down as tightly as they would on someone who has like really nice, perfectly smooth skin. And I wanted to kind of throw that out there because I know a lot of you have that as well. And I'm gonna just say, wow, like, do you see this? It's not even full coverage and it looks stunning. Like my skin just looks beautiful. It looks very nice and natural. That product from Charlotte Tilbury does naturally kind of shear itself out. So it's not gonna look as intense. I didn't want it to because I went with a like medium coverage option today, and I'm gonna be testing powders and whatnot. But that looks really pretty. Like I'm super happy with how this is going so far. Now next up from here, I'm gonna be taking my ColourPop stick here. This is their blush stick in the shade 25-8. I'm gonna apply this like I always do. I always just kind of work it onto my sponge and then press it in. So I'm just taking this little chunk right here. And so far I have done all of these products with this one sponge. So I'm definitely getting a lot of use out of the real estate here. Ooh, that looks great. You know what? It's actually interesting. I think that using this thing, I couldn't put my finger on it until right now. I think that this, what the hell do I call this? You know what? We're gonna go with puff. I think that, because Blendiful, it sounds first of all like an infomercial. With the Blendiful, you can cook that pot roast in 32 seconds. I just feel like I'm being really like showy with it. But I think one of the things I'm noticing with this puff more than anything is how it gives me more of like an airbrushed or diffused look, but it's not eating the product in the sponge. It's not like causing me to lose what I'm putting on. It's just diffusing it beautifully over my skin. And again, as someone with texture, that is just not something I'm like used to seeing so nicely, which is kind of fantastic. And then I always just like to take and I run the little extra blush that I have kind of up on the nose, just a little bit. And I'm gonna go ahead with my ColourPop highlight stick. This is in the shade Star Bright, and I'm gonna do the same thing, just a little bit on here. Ooh, okay. Oh, and I like the precision of this. It's very like targeted. You can, because you can fold it up so tight, it just like stays right where you put it. That looks beautiful. Now I like to take my highlight, especially with this highlight stick, and I kind of blend it down a little bit, just like right over the edge of that cheekbone, so I can kind of meld it in a little bit with my blush that I put in. Oh, that looks beautiful. Now I will say this is something I'm noticing, like I just said with the blush, how it looks very diffused. I'm thinking with this highlight, it does look a little bit less impactful than it normally would. And those of you that have seen me apply it just, you know, normal with a sponge, this goes on a lot more blinding with a sponge. And I think that's because, like I was mentioning with the blush, this has like a diffusing quality to it, and it's not eating the product, but it is just naturally kind of dispersing it across your face so it's not so concentrated. So when I go in with a sponge, obviously this is dirty, so I'm not gonna use it, but when I go in with a sponge, it's just like right here and I pack it on. This isn't diffusing it, it's not doing any work. This is just literally putting it down and leaving it there. Whereas this one with these fibers, it's putting it down, but then these fibers are also pressing and moving and blending, and they're doing other work that you don't have from the surface of a sponge, which I think is why everything on my face right now does look super seamless. So that's just something I wanted to mention. Like it could seem like it's dulling your products, but I don't think it's dulling them down as much as it is just distributing them and pressing them into the skin. Now from here, I am someone that has to lightly set her face, and I didn't anticipate this looking this nicely, so I'm actually going to flip it around and use this space back here to set my face. And obviously this is a personal preference, like if you set your face cool, if you don't, you don't have to. So I'm gonna take the Wayne Goss method, which is like I normally would with the other powder puff that I have, and I'm just gonna take some right here. I'm going to kind of work it down into the fibers a little bit like I do with that puff. And then I always give it like a little flick like he says to, fold it back over, and then I'm going to kind of just press this into the skin. And what this allows you to do, and this is something I learned from him like years ago, is it really helps you set your makeup, but without giving you any excess powder on your face. It doesn't give you any residual issue as far as like the movement I was talking about if you have texture. And it has been a godsend for me to learn to set my face like this. So I talk about it whenever possible. And then if you need to reapply, obviously you just flick it back to the surface and you do it again. Okay, so now from here, we're gonna go ahead and move in quickly to some powder products. I'm gonna go in first with my BH Brilliance Bronzer in Golden Gale. And I'm just gonna move the strap. I'm still using the back side of this little sponge, and I'm going to dip in, just, whoa, okay, I'm gonna be very careful. How do you like tap this off like a brush? You kind of do one of these. Anyways, now let's just go ahead. We're gonna lightly kind of tap, and I'm just going to distribute that product before I work it in, because I don't wanna work all the product in one place. Okay, so that's a very, very soft application. Pretty much all the powder is gone. I'm just going through and touching up. While a big old plow truck goes by. Oh, fun. Guys, we got a couple inches of snow. I don't understand why you're being so aggressive about this. What's interesting is how I had mentioned with the cream products I was using that this gave more of a diffused look. It's doing the same thing. Ooh, I like the way that looks on the nose. It's doing the same thing with my powder. It's very lightly diffusing them. So if you're someone that has an issue with patchiness in your products, you might really enjoy this. Like, look at how snatched my nose is right now. Damn, okay. Then for blush, I'm gonna tap into my NYX Sweet Cheeks. This is their matte version of the shade Totally Chill. And I'm just gonna lightly take my little puff in here, grab some product, which it's so interesting because that looks so intense like on the sponge. And then when you go to blend it out, it's just like, whew, like it looks so easy and so natural. And I feel like my makeup is going by really fast. Like if I wasn't sitting here and talking and having to wait for plow trucks and tractors to go by, I feel like this would just be such a quick process. Now, just because I want to see how it's going to work out, I'm going to take a little bit of my Revlon Color Stay. This is their 880 translucent pressed powder, and I'm going to bake a little bit and brighten up my face. So I'm taking some of it right here on this corner, and I'm going to kind of pack that into the under eye. Let's cut this area back here. I don't do it super intensely, but I like to have just a little bit of a definition there. Okay, so I went ahead and I removed the bake. I let it sit there for just a couple of minutes, and I don't think even on camera that you can like hardly tell I did it, but it's something that in person, it just brightens me up just a little bit, and I need that under the eyes because my under eyes get so aggressively dark. But now I'm gonna go ahead and I think actually that's pretty much everything aside from highlight. So I am going to run off of camera. I'm gonna do like mascara, brows, lips, all that stuff. And then we're gonna come back on and I'm gonna talk to you guys about the price and all of that. So hang tight and I'll be right back. And all right, beautiful people, I am back. The rest of my face is on. I went ahead, threw on like brows, mascara, a lip. This is the Revlon Ultra HD Vinyl Lip Polish in the shade Birthday Suit. But I wanted to come back on here real quick and talk to you guys about this, give you kind of my final thoughts and opinions. So the first thing that I really enjoy about this is actually that you can use both full sides. This is something I wasn't sure based on the sewing of this if I'd be able to do, but as you can see right here, this was my powder side. I actually was able to completely turn, and you can flip the band like your little handband, and then you have this full side open as well. And this is the side that I used for cream. You can see the little cream blush right there. So I was able to use both sides fully, which is really, really nice. So even if you are using it for a full face, you could do one side cream, one side powder. Or if you're using it just for foundation, you'll actually have a lot of areas that you can put your product before you'd have to wash this. And that's something I really wanted to touch on because I know I heard a lot of people, myself included, that were a little bit worried about that. Like, am I gonna have to wash it after every use? My God, that's a lot. And honestly, I don't think you would have to, because if you fold this and you're doing just foundation or even like foundation, concealer, whatever, you'd actually be able to divide this and almost break it into thirds. And you could do this whole side. So you'd have, 1, 2, 3 days of foundation. And then on the other side, flip it over and have the same thing, 1, 2, 3 days of foundation. And honestly, you could probably squeeze that 7th day out of the middle somewhere if you wanted to. So personally, depending on how you do it, I actually think you could go a couple of days for sure, if not a week, if you're only using 1 or 2 products, and use them, for a while before you'd have to throw them in the wash, which I think is really cool. Another couple of things just to run through: the amount of product that absorbed into the actual puff itself is really impressive. Hardly any of it stayed in, whether it was powder or cream, it doesn't matter. I'm looking at it. Yes, it looks dirty because like it obviously is stained from the products I used, or has that color on it. But the actual product itself isn't like matted down inside of it, not like with a sponge where when you use one of those and it's dirty. This obviously, I used it yesterday. If you look at it right here, you can see like this line of foundation that kind of goes down the sponge, and that is your actual foundation product soaking down into it because it's a sponge. Even though it's damp and we do that so it presses the product in and it absorbs less, it's still a sponge. With this, it is fabric, so yes, it does absorb a little bit, but it doesn't absorb nearly as much as what I'm seeing on this sponge. So just something to mention there, you are able to actually save money with your products. Now, as far as talking about the price side of things, this is where I want to dive in a little bit, and I saved this for the end of the video because I couldn't really tell you, like, I think $18 is a good value. I can't tell you that before I use it. So I wanted to save it for the very end and kind of round out my thoughts. So everything that I said about this already, I think makes it a really nice product, but there's a big difference between having a good product and a good value. And I think that because, the product itself can be great, but if it's $1,000, it's not a good value. So there's a big difference, in that. And I just wanted to kind of round this out by saying, for $18 for 2 of them, I can see the concern a lot of people have, which is like, God, that's really pricey. I can't justify that. Like $18, why? I can get a Real Technique sponge for $6. But when it comes down for me to comparing, my sponges break down after maybe like 3-ish weeks, maybe a little more, a little less, depending on the quality, how much I've used it, cream products, no cream products, that sort of thing. So, it just, those break down, moral of my story. And something like this, I feel like you're going to have so much more use out of it time and time and time again. And when you wash it, which you're able to do just with soap and a hairdryer, like Tati said, or you can throw it in a lingerie or like a, what are these, like the Delicates garment bag or whatever, you can throw it in one of those, put it in your washing machine, dry it, and you have it again and it's rejuvenated. So this, yes, the set is $18, but you'll be able to use it over and over and over and over again until it finally breaks down. Just wanted to compare because I know a lot of you guys are going to ask. I am very familiar with powder puffs. As I mentioned, I do a Wayne Goss technique, and this is the powder puff. I don't think you can buy it anymore. I got it from Sephora years ago, but I have been using this for forever. It's so good. And this by itself was, I think, $12 or $15, 10 or 12. It was right in that range when I purchased it. And that was like a standard-ish price. So to have something like this that comes in, again, you get two of them, a big and a small, for $18. I think the price point actually works out to be pretty good to a standard, like, good puff. Not a cheap one, but a good quality puff. I do think that you're on track for this one. And that's just if you're considering it as a puff. If you consider that you can do liquid and you can do cream and you can do all these other things with it, I think, in my opinion, that just ups the value of it. But of course, all of this is relative, and that's the last thing I want to say. It's all relative to if you would even use something like this, if you would like the consistency, if you would consider it better or worse than a sponge, if you think it's something like, you know, I don't need it in my life. But now is where I would like to hear from you. What do you think? Leave me all of your thoughts and opinions down below. Were you curious about this? Do you like these kinds of videos? Is it something where you like seeing it really up close on skin like mine, that, you know, it does have a little trouble, it does have that redness, that acne, that texture, big old beefy man pores, you know? Do you like that? Or is this something where you're like, meh, makeup application type videos or something like this? It's not really my thing. Be sure to leave me all of your thoughts and opinions down below. If you haven't checked me out yet on Instagram and on Twitter, please be sure to do that. Above all else, if you haven't subscribed and turned on your post notification to this here YouTube channel, please don't forget to do that. I do upload new videos 3 days a week, Monday, Wednesday, Friday. They go up between 6 and 7 a.m. my time here in good old Northern Michigan. And we just hang out. We have a good time. I do some lifestyle content. I do plus size clothing try-ons. I do a lot of makeup, a lot of beauty. It's still probably like 80-20. 80 is in the way of the beauty and the makeup and all of that. And then 20% has been a little converted, plus size vlogs, you know, the good, like, get to know me type stuff. Because going into 2020, my goal is to really, like, let you guys know me and let you just get acquainted with who I am and what I see for my future. For those of you that don't know, I want to open a soup kitchen someday. That's like a huge passion of mine, a soup kitchen and a food bank. So that way everyone can eat. And I know that's just super random, but I wanted to throw it in because, you know, people like to know people, and that's kind of where my heart is. So subscribe, and hopefully in the next 10 to 15 years, you'll get to see this whole journey unfold for both of us. And you guys, that's it. Thank you so much for hanging out, for sticking around with me. I appreciate it. I hope that you enjoyed this video, and that is it. Thank you all so much for watching. Please do not forget to have a great day, night, weekend, whatever it is when you're watching this, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye. Does my highlight look like a little intense right there? Can I just, like, do one of these and kind of pat it out a little? Oh, hello, added extra bonus cuteness. Look at that. You can just, like, do a little. Doesn't help that my lights are incredibly uneven, so no matter what I do, it's gonna look really harsh, but that's fine. It's fine. We're not gonna talk about it. Especially given that Especially gibbon. I'll gibbon you, you little gibbon. I like to oat. Opals and bananas. Ooh, bananas. Shh, I'm very busy again. And what I like about what language was that?